Welcome back. Today, we are unraveling one of the most intense and world-altering conflicts in human history, World War II. From the rise of totalitarian regimes through the devastation of the atomic bomb, we'll follow a detailed timeline of the key events that shaped this war. Buckle up, because this is going to be a deep dive into how the world went from peace to one of the most brutal wars ever fought. The war officially begins. Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invades Poland. Its brutal assault as German forces deploy a new style of warfare called blitzkrieg or lightning war. Using fast-moving tanks, aircrafts, and ground troops, the Polish defenses are quickly overwhelmed. Within days, Poland is on the verge of collapse. September 3, 1939, in response to the invasion of Poland, Britain and France declare war on Germany. The war is now officially a European conflict. But few can predict how widespread the fighting will become in the coming years. Although Britain and France have declared war, their efforts in the early stage are mostly defensive. This period becomes known as the Phony War. By the end of September 1939, Poland is partitioned between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, following the secret clauses of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. While Europe braces for conflict, few realize the sheer scale of destruction that will follow in the years ahead. April 9, 1940, Germany launches a surprise invasion on Denmark and Norway. This is the part of Hitler's strategy to secure resource supplies and northern ports. Denmark falls within hours, while Norway holds out till June. The swift capture of these countries show just how deadly the blitzkrieg strategy can be. May 10, 1940, the real turning point for Western Europe comes with the German invasion of Belgium, the Netherlands, and the Luxembourg. The Germans bypass France's heavily fortified Maginot Line by advancing through the Ardennes forests, a move that catches the French and British forces completely off guard. Within weeks, German forces stormed through Belgium and the Netherlands, leading to one of the most dramatic military defeats in modern history. June 14, 1940, Paris falls. The French government flees south, and on the June 22, an armistice is signed between France and Germany. France is effectively under Nazi occupation. Only Britain stands alone against Hitler's war machine, leading Winston Churchill, the newly appointed British Prime Minister, to give his famous "We shall fight on our beaches" speech, signaling Britain's determination to resist. July-October 1940, the Battle of Britain begins. Hitler's Luftwaffe tries to gain air superiority over the British Isles, bombing London and other cities relentlessly. But the British Royal Air Force, RAF, aided by radar technology and sheer determination, repels the Luftwaffe. By the end of October, Hitler abandons plans to invade Britain, making Germany's first major defeat. So June 22, 1941, Operation Barbarossa. Hitler breaks his non-aggression pact with Joseph Stalin and invades the Soviet Union with the largest invasion force in history. This marks a major turning point as the war now expands to the Eastern Front, a theater that would become known for some of the most horrific and brutal fighting. At first, German force achieved rapid success, capturing vast Soviet territory. But as the months pass, the war on the Eastern Front becomes a quagmire. The Germans advance to the outskirts of Moscow, but the harsh Russian winter and Soviet counterattacks slows their progress, setting the stage for the devastating battles to come. December 7, 1941, while Europe is embroiled in the war, the conflict spreads to the Pacific. Japan, seeking to expand its empire and secure resources, launches a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The attack devastates the American Pacific Fleet, killing over 2,400 Americans and damaging or sinking multiple ships. The very next day, December 8, 1941, the United States declares war on Japan, officially entering World War II. Soon after, Germany declares war on the US solidifying the global nature of the conflict. The war is now fought on nearly every continent, drawing in countries from around the world. June 4 to 7, 1942, the Battle of Midway in the Pacific marks a crucial turning point for the Allies. After the initial setbacks following Pearl Harbor, the US Navy delivers a crushing blow to Japan, sinking 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. This battle effectively halts Japan's expansion in the Pacific, shifting the momentum to the Allies. Meanwhile, in North Africa, British forces led by General Bernard Montgomery score a significant victory at the Second Battle of Iwan Alamein in October, pushing Axis forces out of Egypt and beginning the Allied counteroffensive in the Mediterranean. To February 1943, on the Eastern Front, the Battle of Stalingrad becomes one of the bloodiest confrontations of the war. The German 6th Army, led by General Paulus, lays siege to the city, but Soviet forces under General Zhukov launch a counteroffensive encircling the Germans. Stalingrad becomes a turning point as the Soviet victory signals the beginning of the Nazi retreat on the Eastern Front. July 1943, the tide is turning in Europe. The Allies launch Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily. This opens the Mediterranean as a vital pathway for the Allied advance. Shortly after Mussolini's fascist regime collapses and Italy surrenders, however, Germany quickly occupies Italy and fierce fighting ensures as the Allies push north through the Italian peninsula. In the east, the Battle of Kursk in July 1943 becomes the largest tank battle in history. Soviet forces once again stop a major German offensive, solidifying their dominance on the Eastern Front. The Germans are now in full retreat, and the Soviets begin their long march towards Berlin. June 6, 1944, D-Day, the Allies launch Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, landing over 150,000 troops on the beaches of Normandy in German-occupied France. The success of D-Day marks the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Over the next several months, Allied forces push inland, liberating town after town as they advance towards Paris. August 25, 1944, Paris is liberated, marking a huge symbolic victory for the Allies. French and American forces, along with the local resistance fighters, drive the Germans out of the capital, bringing hope to the millions suffering under Nazi rule. But even as the Allies celebrate victories in Western Europe, the war is far from over. Hitler launches one final desperate counteroffensive in the West, the Battle of the Bulge. German forces surprise the Allies in the Ardennes forest, but after weeks of intense fighting, the Allies regroup and push back the Germans. This marks the final collapse of German forces on the Western Front. April 30th, 1945, the final days of the wars in Europe, Soviet forces enter Berlin, and Adolf Hitler, knowing the end is near, commits suicide in the underground bunker. His death signals the collapse of the Third Reich. May 7, 1945, Germany formally surrenders to the Allied forces. The victory in Europe, VE Day, is celebrated on May 8, 1945. The war in Europe is over, but the Pacific theater continues to rage as Japan refuses to surrender. August 6 and 9, 1945, in an effort to bring a swift end to the war, the United States drops 2 atomic bombs, first on Hiroshima on August 6th and then on Nagasaki on August 9th. The devastation is unprecedented, with tens of thousands killed instantly, and the long-term effects of radiation linger for generations. August 15, 1945, Japan finally surrenders, marking the end of World War II. This day is known as Victory over Japan VJ Day, and the world breathes a sigh of relief as the deadliest conflict in human history comes to an end. World War II claimed over 60 million lives and left much of Europe, Asia, and the Pacific in ruins. The war ended with the establishment of the United Nations in hopes of preventing such a catastrophe from ever happening. If you found this story interesting and want to explore more historical tales, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. This way, you will never miss our latest videos about the past.